Hello and welcome to another presentation on the DevOps Handbook. We are Group 7 and we're going to be going over Chapter 7 of the book. We are Alexandra Lozano, Brittany Herrera, and Eddie Pincay. So this chapter is how to design our organizational and architecture with Conway's Law in mind. The chapter has a lot of great detail on how to deploy DevOps and success stories with each organization and archetype. So first we need to understand the organizational archetypes, which are functionally oriented, market oriented, and matrix oriented. Functionally oriented is more by expertise, and market oriented, they are optimizing for responding very quickly to customer needs, and matrix oriented try to combine functional and market orientation. So if we're overly functional, which is by expertise, in IT, many team members are separated into groups by their specialties. And so there ends up being lots of different groups, lots of open tickets, lots of handoffs. Some workers don't understand other workers' impacts, and they expedite their work like downstream. Then matrix-oriented attempt to combine functional and market, but as many who work in or manage them, they result in complicated organizational structures. So they might have two managers to report to, or it just ends up being more complicated than it might need to be. So enabling market-oriented teams. To get devs outcomes to be positive, we do need to reduce the functional orientation. It's nice that everyone has an expertise in real life, but when we kind of have an idea of lots of different things, then we're able to help other people as well. And that will impact downstream, and it will come back to us as well. Market-oriented teams are responsible for feature development and testing, securing, deploying, and supporting the service. Automated testing can help cut out the need to open tickets for other groups. So there's a lot of positive things there with market-oriented teams. So making testing, operations, and security as everyone's job every day. So basically the book says play on the field at the same time. In high-end organizations, every team member shares the same goal. And urgent problems may arise day by day, but if you help the fellow team members, then you'll get a better understanding and the issue could get resolved quicker. Every team member and every member to be a generalist. As mentioned earlier, it's nice to have a specialty or an expertise, but if you can see the generalist in that picture, like they have lots of little ideas about several things, and then maybe a specialist has a really awesome idea about one or two things. Departments can actually use the generalists more throughout the company. So we want the companies, we want to be an asset to the companies by getting to know different parts of different departments so we can help other teammates in other departments. Generalists are people who have skill in more than one area, and also if we can, one way we can do that is by rotating through different roles in the company. That gets us to become more of a generalist. Funding services and products and not projects. So our goal with product-based funding, in the book, it talks about the value is the achievement of the organizational and customer outcomes like revenue, customer lifetime value, or customer adoption rate, ideally with the minimum of outputs. Contrast this to how projects are typically measured, such as whether it was completed within the promised budget, time, and scope. So we design team boundaries and line them with Conway's laws. Maintaining effective communication is a challenge, but teams reside in different areas for each other, and understanding and trust becomes difficult when we do that. Also, collaboration between teams fail. So what is Conway's law? Basically, the more involved, the more problems. So the smaller our teams are, the better we're able to understand each other. And the less interfaces that we have, the less problems as well. Okay, so going into that, it's the 2 pizza team rule. Keep teams small. Conway's law helps us design our team boundaries in the context of desired communication patterns, but it encourages us to keep our team small, reducing the amount of inter-team communication and encouraging us to keep the scope of each team domain small and bounded. We need to create loosely coupled architectures to enable developers' productivity. So with tightly coupled architecture, small changes can create disaster. All workers related to a system must communicate with everyone before changes are made. And then testing a system requires help from many developers, and that can create dependencies on thousands of interlinked systems. And service-oriented architectures are software designs where services are provided to other components through application components. That ends up causing some issues, which are going to go into these examples from Etsy and Target. Basically, they wanted to deploy DevOps because they were having some issues and some things. So with Etsy, they had Sprouter, which was developed in 2007. It was supposed to connect the people, process, and technologies. Basically, they were seeing that they had lots of teams involved with this, which meant that there was also lots of interfaces. It caused a lot of issues because open tickets and waiting for other teams to come up with answers. It came to be a big problem. And by eliminating Sprouter, Etsy eliminated the problems that were associated with the teams needing to coordinate for business logic, and it decreased the number of handoffs and significantly increased the speed of success of production and deployments. So that ended up being a good thing. They had a team involved with trying to figure out what was causing some time constraints. So they got rid of Sprouter, and got some success from that. Also, Target in 2012, McMahon led the API enablement team to enable the development teams to deliver new capabilities in days instead of months. So with Target, they wanted any engineering team inside of Target to be able to get and store the data they needed. So information like on their products and operating hours, locations, and what things they had inside each store was on demand when they needed it. And that helped a lot with their success when they had a team to work on that effort. So in conclusion, we learned about Conway's law, enable market-oriented teams, basically, in general, Conway's law just talks about the more people involved with something, the more problems, the more time constraints, and we don't want to do that. So try to keep everything as local as possible and as strategic as possible, keeping testing local, and you're going to find that you're able to see the problems arise, fix the problems when they happen, and you'll have less handoffs, less time constraints, and more success. Thanks so much for your time with listening to this presentation. We look forward to doing another one. Let us know if you have any questions, and thank you so much.